I feel like we were raised and conditioned to believe in a higher power, but when you start your journey of self-discovery, when you start exploring these concepts for yourself, and you live from a place of being, you live from a place of being present, you not only believe in God, but you experience it. And I just feel like So today's video was actually inspired by this beautiful YouTuber that I came across yesterday. I'll post the video somewhere on the screen, but she basically talked about her path from being in college, doing ROTC, getting scholarships, like her whole journey of like high school to starting working in her career and then getting fired, and then also building a multi-six-figure business. So it's really cool to listen to other people's story, and I feel like that's why I feel so convicted to share my story, because like one day I promise you I'm going to show you like my stack of journals. But I've been journaling about this journey of self-discovery for a very long time, and this is the first time in my life where I actually felt confident enough, or felt I guess like just had the confidence to come on a public space and to talk about the journey that I've been on, and to be more vulnerable in that process. Because just like, you know, this beautiful YouTuber, everything that she said resonated with me. Because it's funny, because you have this plan for your life. You think that things are going to go from point A to point B to point C, but it rarely goes that way. And I feel like just listening to other people's story and hearing how vulnerable they are with how things didn't work out for them initially, but how it ended up becoming something beautiful. And for me, it is just like the most, I don't know how to describe it, but it just puts a spark back into my heart when I get to hear other people's journey. Because I recently came back to Germany, and just being back here, it just, even in the same spot, like this is the same exact spot I was in after I walked away from corporate America, and I called my mom and I told her that I was deciding to basically try a different path and try, you know, full-time entrepreneurship, and also like use my education in a way that actually serves me and other people, and not just using it to selfishly work this 9-to-5 that was paying me a lot of money, but it was so unfulfilling. But this is the same exact spot that I was in. So I think it's like really fitting that I finally have a chance to come back to this spot and to just sit with this journey and sit with this process, because oh my God, oh my gosh, the turbulence that came after that day. Like I felt an initial peace for sure, but then everything that kind of crumbled, that foundation that I had built for years, that was built in survival, built in fear, like when all of that started crumbling away and like falling away, it was so chaotic. But now this foundation that is built on love, that is built on self-assurance, that is built on so much, just not even belief, but knowing that God has a bigger plan for who I am and how he created me. Because for most of my life, I honestly felt like something was wrong with me. I felt like I was alone because I was the sensitive child. I'm one of 10, so I was definitely the child that cried on the drop of a dime, as you could probably tell so far. Because it's easy for me to express the intensity of the emotions that I feel, and I wouldn't want to be any other way. And I feel like this whole journey from that time last year to like where I am now has just been me holding space for my own shadow, for the parts of me that I used to feel like were so unacceptable. I felt like something was wrong with those aspects of who I was. And it wasn't until I was able to embody every aspect of who I am, the light and the dark, the good and the bad, and hold space for all of it, like something quite magical really has happened within me. And I feel like even though I'm in the same spaces, I'm definitely not the same. I feel like life has become so much more expansive, and I feel like I'm doing the same work. Like I'm still helping students, I'm still helping people on their own, you know, respective journeys, but it feels different. Like I don't feel like I'm depleting myself. I feel like I'm giving from this internal, eternal well of just well-being within me. And some of these concepts, as I mentioned in the previous video, are kind of difficult to explain, but I'm currently in the process of reading Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he is one of my favorite like he's literally the reason why I decided to try something new, because I saw what he was able to do with his education, what the lives that he was able to impact, and the transformation that he had within himself and within his career, and the way that he was able to help so many people. just through his love for research and wanting to better understand his own journey. So like reading his book, I never had a chance. I've had this book for years, and I reference a lot of his work during my doctoral studies, but I never had the chance to really sit down with what he wrote. But this book, as you can see, like I'm not finished yet, but what I'm learning, oh my God. So I want to talk about a piece of it. The reason why I brought it up is because he, on page 51, he's basically talking about how when you get present, so much shifts for you because you're able to call your energy back to you. And I feel like for most of my life and for most of my journey, for sure, like going through school, trying to get, trying to achieve and trying to accomplish, I was not present. I was not present at all. I had tunnel vision. I sacrificed my health. I sacrificed my friendships. I sacrificed my livelihood, really. And I don't regret a single part of it, for sure. Like, I feel like everything had its own place. And I'm grateful for that journey because it allows me to show up and serve in a different way. Because now I'm serving from experience versus something that I've researched. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I feel like when you've experienced something and you've overcome an obstacle or obstacles, it's much easier to coach people through that same obstacle, if that makes sense. So, but in this book, or in this chapter called The Present Moment, he talked about how when you start to do this work, when you start to call your power back to you, he said it's most likely to be uncomfortable at first, even a little chaotic. And he said that it's best to get ready because certain areas of your life may fall apart. But don't worry, that's supposed to happen because you're breaking the energetic bonds between yourself and the same past reality. Anything that is no longer in a vibrational match between you and your future is going to fall away. Let it. Jesus. Like reading that, and this is why I love education. This is why I love, and education is basically, it just means to draw out. Like that's the Latin root word of education, is to draw out. So when you read something or when you hear something and it resonates with you and it vibrates in your being and it's like, oh, I know that, that's education. And that's why I really believe that even though the educational system, the traditional educational system, may not be for everyone, I understand that that system is not easy. I spent 11 years in it and I can guarantee you it is not easy. To go through. It is not one of those things that you just kind of like a lollygag through, and that's why I love supporting students through that process, because I get the opportunity to help people overcome things that I've gone through. And that way you're not gatekeeping anything, you're not hoarding information, you're sharing what you've been so graciously given. But like reading this helped me put so many pieces of the journey together, and I feel like it's so beautiful to be in this space because, again, being inspired by this beautiful YouTuber who shared her journey and just feeling how much of her story really resonated with me, and just recognizing that like we're not alone. And even though like we may feel like different parts of our journeys are very isolating, and I can assure you I feel like that's a part of the process, but what I'm learning from just being in this space is that there is a universal intelligence. There is a God force, whatever name you want to call it, Allah, like source, universe, spirit. Like calling water doesn't make it wet. So I feel like there's definitely a universal intelligence. There is a God that is self-organizing, that is, it's hard to explain, it's hard to put in words, but I know that it's meant to be that way. We may not fully always understand what this universal intelligence is doing, especially behind the scenes, but what I know from just being here in this whole journey that I've come on through my own personal experience, I suppose, is that it's always bringing us the very, very, very best. It's just sometimes we have to be aware of it. Sometimes we have to really open our eyes, call our power back to us, get present enough to recognize the signs. Ooh, and one thing she said in this video towards the end, because I keep referencing the same video because it really did inspire me, and and I feel like that's why I feel a lot more calm now when I'm recording, because it's just like she said that she doesn't care about the numbers. It's not about how many numbers you have, how many subscribers, how many views. Granted, those things can be motivating, I guess, but I started this channel initially because I always wanted to share my story. I've always wanted to help people. I've always wanted to show up and serve in a way that felt authentic to me. And I kept myself from doing that for so long. And it's not like I'm doing this because I'm out to make a profit or like, I'm trying to prove myself in any way. I just honestly want to start speaking more and using my voice, because that's a part of me that I felt like was so shut down. When you grow up in an environment where you're told to shut up and sit down, like, you don't develop your voice. You don't develop your confidence in your voice to speak and to definitely speak about the things that are important to you. So honestly, these topics, which I'm more than willing to go deeper on. I actually recently connected with a fellow subscriber. So Jay, if you're watching this, hi. But just like recognizing that, like, when you start putting yourself out there, when you start letting your light shine, you are able to attract the people that resonate with who you are. And I feel like for most of my journey, I wasn't, it's really hard to explain because it's like, it's not like I was being untruthful, or I wasn't lying about who I was, but I wasn't expressing the totality of my light. I was only expressing the parts of me that I felt like people would have an easier time with viewing, if that makes sense. Again, some of this stuff is really difficult to put into words, but I still try. I still want to express myself because it's important. It's important for us to show up in a way that is aligned with who we are, you know? So the beautiful duck just went by. You probably can't see it. Look at it. He's gone. But yeah, like, just recognizing that I never had to be anyone other than who I am, and that I didn't have to prove myself. I didn't have to dim my light in order to fit into spaces that were never created for me, and to know that who I am now has a place because I held that space. I gave myself permission to show up. Even though I didn't plan any of this, it's so much better than what I imagined for myself. And I feel like that's the beauty of this entire journey. It's just recognizing when you're coming home to who you are, recognizing when you're standing in your truth and you're not just believing in something, you're knowing it. And I heard this reel by Carl Jung the other day. They asked him, like, did you believe in God when you first started this work? And he said, yes, of course. And they asked him, like, do you believe in God now? And he kind of paused. And to be honest, I didn't know what he was going to say, because so much in the space, like, we witness, like, the more educated people become, so to speak, or the more intelligent they become, the less they believe in God. But that was the narrative they wanted you to believe, but that's not true. Even Einstein believed in a higher power. But they asked him, you know, do you believe in God now? And he paused, and I'm just like, oh gosh, like, I referenced so much of his work. But he said that he said, it's difficult to explain, but I don't only believe in God, I know. And like, when he said that, it was just like that's exactly, like, it's almost as if I feel like we were raised and conditioned to believe in a higher power. But when you start your journey of self-discovery, when you start exploring these concepts for yourself, and you live from a place of being, you live from a place of being present, you not only believe in God, but you experience it. And I just feel like so yeah, I don't want this video to be too long. I just wanted to do a quick update and share a bit of the insights that I've been having. And if you do have any specific topics that you would like to, you know, kind of talk about, I'm always open to that. Like, I'm always open to connecting with people in my soul tribe. I think somebody's walking up, so I gotta see, but yeah. Yeah, I'm very grateful to be here spiritually, emotionally, mentally, in every aspect of the word. I'm just grateful to finally be present with my life. So yeah, I guess I'll see you in the next video. Let me know if you have any questions. I do read the comments, and I'm so grateful for them, because I definitely don't feel as alone now like I did when I first started my kind of journey of self-discovery like 7 years ago. And it's just, it's beautiful to see. It's beautiful to see life organize itself in such a miraculous, intelligent way. And I'm just grateful to witness it. So I'll see you in the next video. I wish you well on your journey of self-discovery. Bye. Oh, look, there's the bird. Look at it. Wow. It's just chilling right there.